Mute.
Hello, folks. We will be getting started in about a minute or two. If you recall, when we get on, please mute yourself so that we don't get any background noise. And we'll be getting started. We're just allowing time for everyone to get into the meeting. Okay, folks, I'm just about going to get started. I just want to remind anyone that if you have any friends or family that was not able to attend this evening, curious about the district's future, we always record this and place it on our YouTube page, Hanover Area School District YouTube page, immediately following these meetings. So this will be posted, I'd say no later than 7:30, 8 o'clock this evening for folks that may be working or unable to attend. Tell them have no worries. This is there for the taking after, okay? So I'd like to welcome you to our community update. We want to move into what we're trying to accomplish here for the children and the future of this district, okay? We're going to move through our synchronized learning that we have been started and trying to still accomplish throughout the course of a day. We are trying to use what we call the synchronistic learning format. This is us trying to reach and muddle through our 180 days of school. That's the normal length of time for a school year. This does seem like an eternity for folks out there who had to change their lives based on the pandemic that we're going through. But we are still set for a graduation we are set for a graduation on the 8th of June. On a daily basis, ladies and gentlemen, we serve 300 minutes a day at the elementary level, equating to 900 hours per school year. The secondary level, we are trying to accomplish 330 minutes per day, reaching 990 hours. Right now, we are following every guideline extremely strictly, and we are making sure that everyone is safe at all times. This Board of Education, myself, and this administration is solely committed to making sure that every student returns to you in the manner that you sent them. We never want to see students arrive at any of our buildings within the Hanover Area School District and return home with any virus or anything other than what they left with. So we have strictly followed these guidelines. And if you see, this is all based on a 7-day scale, where we have been following the low, moderate, and substantial models. Anything beyond the 10% in a 7-day schematic has allowed for a remote learning fashion. And that's what we have been participating in. Next slide, please, Lisa. Right now, if you see that the previous slide said 10% or beyond, we today are at 23.48%. The county is still listed in a substantial status, but I will tell you that 23.48 is one of the best rates that we have been seeing in a long time. Our county, and especially our zip code of 18706, has always been in the high 30s to mid 30s. So this is very, very optimistic, and it looks very good, although it's double of what the recommendation of both departments of health and education recommend for us bringing students in. We are most certainly moving in the right direction. As a result, the Hanover Area School District is trying to project when this rate will continually drop and merge perfectly with in-person instruction. So just below, I'm going to take you through some of the new guidance that has been dispersed at the end of 2020. And if you take a peek at this, we do fit into the category of a large school district, pre-K to 12 buildings. And they're broken down as specific categories. And I don't want to bore you with all these specifics that are on here, but there is broken down as to what we just spoke of in the low, moderate, and substantial. However, the recommendations are that in the left column, it states 1 to 5 students or staff members do not require the Hanover Area School District to close the school. All we do is simply clean the area, notify the Department of Health. The Department of Health then notifies the families who are in contact with the positive case. And this gradually increases in severity as you go down to the moderate or substantial levels. Personally, I do not like this, and I am not a fan of this recommendation. Again, as I said in the beginning of this presentation this evening, I am not a fan of having you come to school and having this as an acceptable format for 1 to 5 students being acceptable to having positive cases within our buildings. These students need to eat lunch with our students. They need to ride in the bus. And I am not a fan of this recommendation. So that is why there's been lengthy time between the fact of us starting school and allowing for in-person instruction. So I'm going to slowly move into where we are going. The proposed return to school is our highest need students on March the 1st. I have pushed that out 2 weeks beyond what we originally had stated. We had stated February 16th. Due to the right direction of cases moving in a downward trend, we are pushing that out 2 more weeks in optimistic hope that we continue to trend in that direction and allow for a safe return of our faculty, students, and staff. So if you see here, the autistic support, emotional support, life skills classrooms will all return on March the 1st. And then you see the last bullet point, folks, that is the highest need students. That's a case-by-case basis. This is when we have a student that might not necessarily be considered, our highest need, but they are not performing academically at the level. We are going to reach out and continually try to meet the needs of these families and allow them to return in the earliest timeline. Okay, so this would be upon request and upon administrative discretion. Okay. Beyond that, then we're gonna go into that schedule for 2 weeks, the highest need, taking us to March 15th, ladies and gentlemen. That is when we will return to the hybrid schedule. That's the AB schedule or the blue-white schedule that you may remember from the fall. So on March 15th, we are looking to bring our pre-K, our early intervention students, and our 6th grade students back. At that point, we will bring the 6th grade back in a split schedule, the AB schedule. But as of right now, I will take your, if you take notice to the last statement, the week of March 15th, we will update this community again as to how our integration back into school is taking place. Is it in a healthy fashion? Do we need to slow it down, or are we right on track? So on the week of the 15th, I will be advertising another community night just to keep you abreast of everything that's going on and let you know how it looks for the full K-12 integration, which is that last bullet point of a tentative March 22nd full K-12 student return, however, in the hybrid fashion. So half of the student population will be in our buildings at any given point. So if you recall, I'm just going to refresh some memories. In a hybrid schedule, we are split half. The student population is listed in A, or a white schedule, or B in the blue schedule. So the last time we were in school in October, we were in the A or the white schedule. This time we're going to return on March 15th when the 6th grade students come back. We're going to split that 6th grade population in half, and we're going to begin with the B or the blue schedule. So what we're going to do is then we're going to continually integrate more and more populations within the building. So March 22nd, we're going to integrate all K-12 students in the hybrid format, which we're going to take them back to the A group. The following week, the 29th, we'll go back to the B, and we will continue to alternate back and forth from A to B throughout the remainder of this school year. I'm going to bring your attention back down to the last bullet point. All of this can abruptly change depending on the health status of our school district. If we're seeing consistent cases in the building and we are out of the building due to positive cases, then we are in the building, then we will return back to remote status for more consistency. Okay, right now we have established a tremendous amount of consistency. Is it the best format? No, it's not, but it's the safest. So brings me to parent choice. every single person on this call this evening, you're the boss. You are the boss as far as what you do with your child. So if you feel that March 1st, March 15th, March 22nd is never a healthy date for you to send your child onto a bus or into our schools, that is perfectly okay. You can continue to entertain. You can continue to entertain the remote format, or you can entertain the hybrid format, the AB schedule, and these are all options that are purely up to you as a parent. The schedule speaks to Monday through Thursday being in person if you are in scheduled for that week, and then we are closed on Friday. For everybody is remote, that's teachers, that's students, for the Friday deep clean throughout the entire building, okay? Again, parents are the boss as far as a form of transportation. Parent could transport the student. We could also place them on our mass transit system, which are school buses, and you will see, to try to ease your mind or try to make you more comfortable with utilizing the school district busing, we are only utilizing window seats, which is a max of 18 riders at that time. The only exception to this rule is if there's siblings. So if siblings want to sit in the same seat, you're coming from the same controlled environment, they could double up in that seat. So that would allow for an expansion of the capacity in that bus. However, for the most part, if it's blended community members, we would be utilizing the max 18 rider rule. The measures that we have taken in place are still in place, that we have taken from the get-go. The Google Classrooms are going to have accessibility to the entrance tickets. Ladies and gentlemen, at that point, we are depending on you. We understand our limitations. We understand the fact that we're going to have to depend on you to let us know and be honest when your student is answering yes to any of the prompted questions, such as the student experiencing a fever. Is there anybody in the household that has had COVID in the last 30 days? So on and so forth. If there's yes to any of these questions, at that point, we're going to ask you to keep the student in the remote setting until we get the school district nurses to reach out to you for further clarification. So please, if you're answering yes to any of these questions, do not send the child until the nurse clarifies or gives further instruction in order to keep everybody safe throughout your child's path throughout the day. The next bullet point speaks of masks. Masks are mandatory at all times with the exception of their lunch. And it is also teacher discretion. Teacher is going to allow for a few-minute break with dropping the mask down behind a desk shield. Your teacher will individually inform you and tell you what they're going to allow or not allow. The district is mandating, once they step away from their desk, stand on their feet and begin to move from their controlled area, they are required to wear masks. Students are always 6 feet apart. We are going to continue that guideline, although there are further guidelines that are speaking to possibly reducing that to 3 feet. The Hanover Area School District will not be partaking in that new guideline. We are going to maintain the 6 feet regulation. The next thing is the desk shields that we have spoken of before. They're individualized to each student. They are there on a daily basis, and they're cleaned daily, and they are set for the Sorry about that, folks. My 4-year-old comes busting in. Let me get back to where we are. Okay. So the next is our desk shields. It's individualized to each student. Their name is on it, and then they're cleaned on a daily basis. Again, we had the Jan Pro surgical spray that was sprayed at every square inch of our school district. This is a surgical spray that does kill the virus on contact and every other contaminant that could cause illness within the district. The company is coming out the beginning of next week to assure the efficiency, because it has been time lapsed beyond the 6 months. So if they do need to reapply, they're going to. The only time that it does need reapplication is from wear and tear or overuse. However, we are only in the building 3 days, so I'm assuring that there's probably only going to need slight touch-ups here and there. Social distancing guidelines are indicated on the walls and on the floor. This is a primary focus of our youngest student population that may not understand what 6 feet looks like. So there's indicators on the floor, such as feet and the arrows that are going to indicate how close they can be with their classmates. And then the final piece is the deep cleaning Fridays. So we will have the same controlled environment on Monday through Thursday, will not be any cross contaminations of A or B schedules. And then we would have our maintenance staff come in and do the deep clean with the foggers on a Friday. So the next group that comes in is coming into a very sanitary environment. As I mentioned in the beginning of this call, we are strictly adhering to CDC and Department of Health and Education guidelines. This is something that we're going to continue to adhere to. If there was ever a positive case within the district, you would be contacted verbally over the phone, and you would also receive a written notification of the exposure and the instructions on how to prevent further transmission and how to care for yourself if you did possibly be the recipient of COVID-19. So the Department of Health and Education regulations are followed with the necessary closures. As I said, I do not like that that one scenario where there are cases in the building that we only have to clean and we don't have to close down. I will be a little bit more stringent than that, and we will close the building for that day. So there are going to be interruptions for the folks that do entertain the in-person instruction. I am not going to take it lightly when we have a positive case, nor is this administration, nor is this custodial staff. So there will be interruptions in the flow of education. It will change. If your student is scheduled for in-person instruction that week, you will be interrupted and they will return to remote. Trying to be transparent and open with everyone so that we know what happens if a case comes about. There's no surprises. The final slide here is to contact. If while we go through the question and answers, if anybody needs to take a screenshot or needs to write down any of these email addresses, these are the administrative team that would be able to answer any further questions that maybe you didn't feel comfortable asking in front of the group this evening, or if you you just wanted further clarification. But I hope that this was informative for you. We are going to post these dates for a return onto our website, onto our social media, so that there's always a reference point for you to return back to if you're not sure when your child returns to the classroom, if you choose to entertain the in-person instruction. But at this point, I would be glad to take as much time as needed, ladies and gentlemen, to go over any questions, concerns, clarification that could help you make the best decision for you and your child. Lisa Kitchen will call your name. Please push the raise your hand icon at the bottom of the screen, and she will call on folks as they come in.
Okay, do we have a Michelle? Michelle?
Hi, Michelle.
Hi, I have a question. If we only have so many days until June 8th to go back to school, why can't we just stay, instead of going in physically in school with these children, why can't we just stay home with hybrid until the rest of the whole school year is over?
Michelle, that's a great question. And that's why we're going to leave it up to parents to entertain that option. If that's what you feel most comfortable with, Michelle, I would encourage you to do so. That's something that you feel most comfortable with. I believe it's the safest. However, you know, some kids are not performing the best, and we're trying to provide that option for the folks that feel their children really need to be in front of their teacher. But Michelle, that is your choice, and you're the boss on that one. So if that's what you feel most comfortable with, please do so.
I mean, my son and my daughter, they were A students. Well, my daughter was an A student. My son's in kindergarten. But it's kind of confusing if we're going to go to school, we're not going to go to school. it's like, you know, it's or buts if we're ever going to go back to in-person schooling, you know.
You're right.
Ev-
You're right.
all the
It's,
all the cases are going up, and not like us as parents can't get the vaccine yet because it's so high demands of the vaccine, you
you're
know.
right. Well, if they continue to go up, Michelle, we will all be out. We will all definitely be out in remote format. I am never going to put anyone in harm's way, to bring back home any bit of the virus or anything to your children, and to continually spread in our community. And I think that I know for a fact the Hanover Area School District has not been a contributing factor in Luzerne County's alarming rates. So that's something I'm proud of. And that is something that this administrative team and this Board of Education is very proud of. So Michelle, I appreciate the recommendation, and that is yours for the taking.
Thank you. We're new to this area, so we're from Easton because that school district down there, they're all high remotely online. We're new to this area. We just moved here, so
Well, welcome, Michelle.
thanks.
Okay, is there a Jason?
Yes, I have it's more of a two-part question, I suppose.
Hi, Jason.
Now I know we have, our rates are based off of the zip code and the population. Now,
Yes, sir.
I know our zip code goes up into Wilkes-Barre Township, everything else, and we also have the only huge industrial park in this area. How is all that affecting this?
Well, the address of the person who is testing positive, that would be what zip code the positive case is attributed to. So if I work, because I live in Lackawanna County, if I work in Hanover, if I became positive, it would be attributed to where I live in Lackawanna County. So so the industrial, I hope I'm answering your question correctly, Jason, but I don't think the numbers are increasing based on the amount of employees that converge on Hanover for the day. If that's what if I'm answering your question correctly, is that, am I answering that correctly? Did I lose Jason?
No, I'm here. I would assume that would be some sort of an issue though, because I would think that a lot of people in the area live very close to the industrial park. Because I mean, I know just where I live, there's a large population that lives here that works in industrial park. So I mean, that's got to be some sort of contribution to that high positivity rate.
Well, if they live there and work there, it's going to be attributed to that.
Right. I mean, I think that's just, causing a lot of issue with that, pushing the rate up, and that's really not fair to us. But I guess in a way, we can't do anything about that.
So you're saying the residents that live and work there are pushing it up?
It is possible because we saw on the news there was outbreaks at Chewy, Adidas, and if they live around here, that's going to cause an issue.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Of course. Yep. That's why we remain closed.
And my other question is, we continually discussed how we have the best system in the valley for detecting, temperatures of the students and all this stuff and all that. But how is it that with the best system in the state, other districts in the area are still opening?
Well, the other districts that are opening up, so I guess this is the two-part question that you were speaking of.
Right.
I wasn't going to utilize the system at all, knowing the positivity rate that was within the 18706 zip code, because of the fact of the jeopardy that I would be placing all the teachers and other classmates in if I neglectfully brought students in going beyond the recommendation of both departments of education and health. They said to utilize the remote format, and that's what I felt most comfortable with, to keep you and everyone else that lives in 18706 as healthy as possible.
I don't know. I guess it's still become a parent frustration is all. And it's just questions that are arising because, I just can't wait to get our kids back in school.
And Jason, I understand that. And I guess at this point, we're all trying to help one another stay healthy. And when we look at it that way, we're surviving a pandemic, and it's not the easiest way to educate kids when you're battling through a crisis like this.
Oh,
So,
trust me, I have two kids that went from A and now they're low C, so I get it.
Yep. Well, they remained healthy.
No, our whole house had COVID. We got through it.
Okay.
We survived.
Okay.
All right, I believe. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
Holly,
Hi,
Hi,
Mr.
Holly.
Barrett. Hey, I just wanted to thank you so much for using an abundance of caution. My daughter is in the 5th grade. She is too young to get the vaccine. And I just appreciate that you are really taking an abundance of caution for both your students and your staff in keeping the children home. I know it's hard. I know it's not easy for these parents. And I sympathize. However, I just really appreciate that we could keep our children home and keep them safe because they are too young to be vaccinated. So I appreciate you and everything that you do for this district.
I thank you for the kind words, Mrs. Evans. It's going to look like it was staged, Holly, as we work together.
Well, I know, but that's not a working thing. This is just a heart-to-heart thing. I appreciate it, and as does my entire family.
I'm teasing. I appreciate that very much. I thank you.
Cassandra,
Hi, Cassandra.
Cassandra, are you still here?
Yes, I'm sorry, I am. I just have a quick question. Back when we had our last community meeting, I brought it to the attention that I was trying to get in touch with Mr. McCree due to attendance and discussing an attendance plan. And I reached out to him numerous times via phone, and I also reached out to him email, and I still have yet to hear anything back. And this is over a month now.
Okay, Cassandra, then what I recommend is if you could possibly take a screenshot of this last slide that we have up here and send me an email tomorrow, and I'll make sure that this gets brought to his attention.
All right, thank you very much.
I thank you, Cassandra.
Amy Jasler,
Good evening. Mr.
evening,
Barrett,
Amy.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Nice
Um,
talking.
Thank you. I just was wondering if there were any plans moving forward for the senior class. So like we haven't heard anything, everything's been canceled for these poor kids.
Mhm.
And we just wondered, a lot of us parents are wondering what the plan was moving forward between, normal senior events versus graduation, et cetera.
So I have two things that I've been working with a parent and a guidance counselor to try to raise some funds to celebrate them during this difficult time. So I am working on that as we speak to try to raise funds to get recognition in a remote fashion. And I'm going to try not to disclose too much. It's not as good as if it was a prom or anything like that, but it's some type of recognition that I don't want to spoil the fun. But I will tell you that I have booked a location for the graduation already that we will slowly begin to unravel in the near future. So they are on my mind. I'm trying to battle through this health crisis, but I have not forgotten them. And under the current, we are working on them. And I can assure you that they are not going to be forgotten.
Thank you.
Matt,
I'm guessing that's me.
Hi, Matt.
Hi. So again, I have two quick questions. And sort of to what the gentleman earlier was asking about. Can the district share these metrics of the positivity percent positivity rate. And the reason I ask is that out of curiosity, I cannot find zip code based. I could find Luzerne County based
Sure.
PCR, and it is actually dropping. They're listing the county as 10.5%. So
Okay.
I'm just curious as to why ours has been from a month ago till now hovering in the mid 20s, where the county is actually 10.5 as of right now, the previous 7 days. So that'd be helpful. You could just share it for nerds like me that like to look at this stuff.
You and I are in the same boat, because that's all I stare at are these figures.
Graphs and stuff. And then my second question is, you mentioned before about if there is a positive found in a school. So let's just say hypothetically it's Memorial, you find there's a one or two cases found.
Sure.
You're just going to shut that school down, correct? I mean, it's not
Correct.
going to be every single school, because
Of course.
I just wanted to clarify that.
And I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. I did say shut down, but it will be school specific. So
Okay.
Matt, I thank you. Matt, if you could just answer me one question. The 10.5% of Luzerne County today, on the Department of Health, I saw 21%. Could you just tell me where you're finding the 10.5 on the?
Yeah, it's the health.pa.gov, and it's COVID-19 early warning monitoring system dashboard. But like I said, it only lists, there's a map, and you select Luzerne, and then down it has a blue chart, and it has your PCR past 7 days. So
Sure. And there's a dashboard for reopening schools. That's where I obtain my information, and you have to put in the administrative codes. So it wasn't something that's easily accessible to the community.
Mm-hmm.
And the county is then broken up specifically into the zip codes. So the problem, even the better piece for us is that I could just specifically select 18706, even though that does encompass a piece of Nanacoke and a portion of Wilkes-Barre.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it does, the bulk of it, I would say, is our community. So, so that's where I get that specific and precise. As a matter of fact, it breaks it down in the facilities that are housed within that zip code as well. So it's very, very, very precise, and allows me to make a very, very scientific and educated decision for our kids. So I don't want you to think it's a willy-nilly type of site that I'm on. And
just curiosity, because
Yep.
I look at
Sure.
the county rate and just
it's a
wondering
school
why.
board. It's a Pennsylvania school board reopening dashboard, it's called. So so if you have somebody that has a professional educator ID, you would have access to it.
Okay, thank you. And thanks to
welcome.
everybody for what you're doing. I know it's crazy, and it's not something we're used to, so, but
I know.
thanks.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate you saying that.
Michelle Okonski.
Hi, I'm here.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Mr. Barrett. Two quick questions. Now, you said that if the shutdown has to happen, it would be school specific to where the cases are. But yet these kids share these buses throughout all the buildings.
Correct.
So how do you just shut down one building when you got kids from all different buildings riding these same buses?
So there's so many moving parts with this, Michelle, that if we did track down the fact that this, let's say Nathan Barrett was positive for the day and he rode bus 13, everybody that rode bus 13 after him could potentially cause the shutdown. Okay, that's not to say that this is not an impossibility. But what I'm saying to you is that if there was a specific case in a building that a student was positive within a classroom, we had it narrowed down to where his or her movements were, we can isolate and contact trace in order to make an educated decision to just close down that school. But you are 100% accurate when you state that this does have more moving parts to it than simple, classroom 102 had a positive case. As a result, we're shutting down that wing of the school. There is the potential that it was the first run of the day on the bus, and now everybody who rode that bus following would be susceptible to being quarantined. Now, it would be isolated to the passengers on that bus. Thankfully, we're limiting it to 18, not only to keep the social distancing piece intact, but it also is minimizing the risk of exposure to others. But you're right, it could be a little bit too late after a student has done the first run of the day and 3 runs followed that student. So that is why I have been diligent with trying to eliminate all these possibilities by remaining in the remote status.
Okay, and my second question, with graduation, having a tentative date of June 8th, can you give us a little bit more information on, like, is this going to be and I'm only asking because many of us have family from out of the area.
It's definitely June 8th.
Right.
Definitely June 8th.
So, I mean, are we going to be able to have more than a limited amount like they did last year at the Garden Drive-In? Or I mean, I have family out in California that would love to come in. I have family in
Sure.
Michigan. And of course, when they come in here, they may have to quarantine for 2 weeks before they can go anywhere.
Sure.
And then to find out that they can't even attend this, they just spent a hell of a lot of money on airline tickets. So
That's a great point, Michelle. So what we're going to do is, now that this has popped up twice this evening, you are prompting me to move forward and meet with the high school staff, and we will host a similar format as this just for senior parents and unveil the plan and then move forward, and we'll take it from there. Okay.
okay,
That sound fair?
absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheyenne?
Hello, I just have a question.
Hi, Cheyenne.
Well, this is Melissa, I'm her mom, but last Zoom meeting, I had asked the question, if come March 1st, the numbers were just as high as they were when we had the last Zoom meeting, would we still continue within school come March 1st? And your reply was yes. I just want to know what changed.
What changed is the new guidelines and our willingness to step out a little bit from what we had told you in the last one. That was based on, my willingness to step out is based on the steady decline in positivity rates and the percentage rates that are going down, not only in our county, but our zip code. So it's allowing me to step out a little bit further of my comfort zone and move closer to what I'm assuming is your desire to have your child back in. If I'm not mistaken, it was kindergarten.
Well, yeah, I have one in kindergarten and one in 8th grade.
Okay, so both kindergarten and 8th grade, as these rates are trending downward, I'm feeling a bit more comfortable. So exactly what I said last meeting was, if the numbers remain the same, we would remain the same, but that's not the case.
Okay, thank you.
Luke Matthews?
Hi, Mr. Barrett.
Good evening, Luke.
Quick question. Is there going to be a reminder of sorts for what group or color the students are when it comes to the schedules?
Yes, sir. So we have already worked with this with the administration. They will inform the families of what group the child is based on last name. Now, we did work closely with families before in the past that might have multiple last names. So we are this is already on the radar. We are moving forward with this. There's a plan in place that this will be coming out within the next week.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have a question for Mr. Barrett? Okay, Mr. Barrett, there are no more questions.
Folks, thank you so much for coming aboard this evening, and everybody stay healthy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Mr. B.
Have a great night. Mikhail,
Thank you, Mr. Barrett.
thank you. Everybody have a great night.